If you're a first-time buyer with a budget under $3 million and you want to buy a move-in ready 3-bedroom home in Burlingame, there are so few options. In Burlingame Village specifically, we've just seen 7 homes sell in the last year. That is crazy. That's one home roughly every 6 to 8 weeks. And when they do pop up, they are gone instantly. And that's what I'm going to show you today. I'm Raziel, and in the last 10 years, I've sold more homes in Burlingame than any other agent. And to see what it's like living in San Mateo County, join me every Monday at 5 p.m. for a new video. So today we're gonna first check out this awesome home here in Burlingame Village. I'm gonna give you a kind of a sense for what a 3 bedrooms, 2 baths will get you in the neighborhood. And then after this, I'm gonna take you over to Village Park, which is one of my favorite parks in Burlingame, and just kind of give you a general sense of what it's like living in Burlingame Village. So I did a video a few months ago where we kind of talked about, in my opinion, some of the biggest supply gaps in the Burlingame Hillsborough market. And one of the things in the video was 3-bedroom homes at this price point, and just 3-bedroom homes in general that are not 1,000 to 1,200 square feet. So this is the living room here. I'm gonna kind of do a little storytelling while I show you all the house here. So this is the living room, good ceiling height, recessed windows, looking onto the street, beautiful maple tree, all that good stuff. So in the video, we kind of talked about, okay, what are things that I hear from buyers all the time that they really want? And there's a huge supply. So most people, there's obviously you can get a lower price if you get a 3-bedroom that's 11 or 1,200 square feet. That's gonna be a small house. I think a 2-bedroom with that square footage would be pretty awesome. It's just hard to get those, especially in Burlingame. For a 3-bedroom though, this is a 3-bedroom, 2 baths, plus this office area, which is pretty legit. Many people want an extra room for work from home. All the time people are talking about ADUs. If you are curious to learn a little bit more about ADUs, you can check out this video that I did last year where we did a deep dive and went to 7 different ADUs, all in Burlingame and San Mateo. So check that out if you're interested for some more context. It's a lot of fun. But anyways, having this extra space is pretty cool. And it's just hard to get these homes in Burlingame from a supply perspective. I already talked about this like a few times here already. It does require a little patience. So I would say if this is something that you're targeting, the range that I would give a buyer who's thinking about buying a 3-bedroom home in Burlingame in regards to square footage, your decision first is gonna be, do you wanna be in a flat area or do you wanna be in a hillier area? If you wanna be in a flat area, that's gonna be higher price per square foot than a hillier area. So you could find the same home in the flats that you could up top, but it's gonna be more expensive here, but up there, that same home, let's say it has a few hundred square feet more. So the average square footage of a home typically up in Mills Estates or Burlingame Hills neighborhood is gonna be larger than something in the flat neighborhoods like we are here. So in the Burlingame Village location, just for context, this is the northernmost neighborhood in Burlingame. We are east of El Camino, we're south of Truesdale, and we're north of the Burlingame Grove neighborhood, Burlingame Gate, which is just north of Broadway. You're not really walking distance to Broadway from here. You're definitely not walking distance to downtown Burlingame. So if that's what you want, and you want a 3-bedroom in a flat neighborhood, Burlingame Village might not be at the top of your list, in which case you wanna be Burlingame Gables, Lion Hogue, Burlingame Terrace, Burlingame Park, obviously pretty pricey, and it's really hard to get a 3-bedroom home in there, and the price point there is gonna kind of start low 3s typically. Obviously, this is the first bedroom here. We just saw the office. Before we check out this, you're gonna be kind of surprised, I think, with the quality of what I'm about to show you next after this area here. First, we have the guest bedroom and bathroom here, which is huge. So, and it's remodeled, it's in good shape. Now, I would say like typically in the mid to high $2 million range, and even like we're priced here in the low $2 million range, you're usually not gonna see this kind of quality and like these finishes for what we're seeing here. This is pretty sweet. So to get this kind of floor plan, here you can see the neighbor's house. So in Burlingame, this is just how it is. If you want privacy, don't really buy in Burlingame. I would say like Burlingame's gonna be the vibe of where you wanna know your neighbors, or you don't mind seeing their house. You don't necessarily have to wanna know your neighbors too much, but I think that's a lot of the Burlingame vibe. People are really into that. People are very friendly. Trick-or-treating is a huge part of the Burlingame culture. Certain neighborhoods have more trick-or-treating than others. Burlingame Gables, Easton Edition, kind of Cortez, Cabrillo, Balboa, all up in there. October 31st, it's a total zoo. Other good places to trick-or-treat on the Peninsula, at least where we've been personally or as a family, would be the Aragon neighborhood in San Mateo. We had some friends who got 1,800 pieces of candy to give away last October. And then San Carlos eucalyptus. It's a lot of fun if you're into it. This is obviously the kitchen. Why do I say that? Okay, you guys already know this, you're intelligent. I need to stop being a real estate agent and just like let the camera do its talking here. But this was an addition that was done by my clients, and this is pretty sweet. This is a pretty large kitchen. So this home here is a little under 1,700 square feet, and the lot size is a little bit over 5,000. So you'll get some context on the backyard in a sec. It's not a huge backyard, but it is pretty nice and totally functional. And I love that you have this attached garage here. If you've seen some of my other videos, you know I'm a massive fan of attached garages. If you're coming from a place or other part of the country, you know that's not even a big deal. Here, this is a big deal, okay? Check out this garage, people. This is, again, not a huge garage, but I really like that it's attached and it's spacious. It's simple. Could you park a car in here? The answer would be yes. We even have a little sink over here, butcher block, washer, dryer, check, check, check everywhere here, okay? This is cool. I remember when we bought our first house and my wife was pregnant, our garage is narrower than this. So then she was opening the car door of her Prius at the time. It was just so hard to get out. So with some of these older homes, it is what it is, but this actually would check the box. I really, in my opinion, I don't think it's necessary to park in your garage. I would say most of my clients who are buying homes on the Peninsula, not just Burlingame, everyone wants to park in the garage, or they think about it because they're coming out of San Francisco perhaps, where parking's obviously not that good. And then you come down here and you can park in the street, you can park in a driveway. I probably say 90% of my clients who say that they want that, then once they move in, then it's not a big deal and then no one parks in the driveway and they end up using it for storage. So this space here though, we would kind of call this a great room, where you have a big island, you have all the appliances over here, you have actually a sitting area, which is pretty sweet. Now, a home like this does not have, you could say, one challenge at this square footage is there's no dining room. So if you want dining room, then you're gonna probably need a bigger house. And can you get a 3-bedroom home that's 2,000 square feet? That product, I wanna say it doesn't exist, but it's extremely rare, okay? There's a huge gap in supply for homes that are 1,700 to 2,200 square feet. And to go from a 3-bedroom to a 4-bedroom in Burlingame, that's gonna add a premium of sometimes 7 figures. So you have to think very carefully, okay, do I want that 4th bedroom? Or can I get a 3-bedroom that has a space like something like this? The location may or may not be perfect, but perfect is a relative word, okay? So I always like to think of my scale, okay, on the A, B, C, D scale, what would I rate a location? So what are the things that I look for as a buyer's agent and as a Burlingame homeowner if I was thinking about buying a house? My philosophy is spend as much as you can to get the best location you can, even if the home is a little less exciting. That's not for everyone, because my view is, like, you can't change the location. The goal is that you can buy and remain in your home for a long time. The goal is not that you work with your realtor and then you call your realtor back in 2 years, hey, I'm ready for my next home. Obviously, if you've had a lot more liquidity, you've had some positive things happen and you're just ready for a bigger home, obviously that's totally fine. But with transaction costs, no need to go pay someone like myself twice in a couple-year period. So I really think it's smart if you can pay a premium to get a little bit more on location and noise sensitivities. I think that's a big deal, right? Like being near Caltrain, being near a busy street, El Camino, 101. These are all nuances that even in an area like Burlingame where it's super expensive, sometimes I'd rather see a client spend 5 to 20% more to get a location that for them might be a better fit. Now, everyone wants something a little bit different in Burlingame, and again, that's my job to educate you on what your options are at different price points, because everyone has a specific amount of resources that they can commit to buy. Okay, this is the primary bedroom. We have this stage here with a king bed. This is very spacious. This is cool. This is the size bedroom that you might see at a $4 million home on up. And then this primary bath is pretty sweet. So it's not common that you'll get a dual vanity in here. I think having this is certainly nice. You can put your toothbrushes on both sides. And then there's no bathtub in here. This is a stall shower with some really cool kind of tile here. There's no window coverings. We remove those a lot of times prior to sale if they're a little bit older, or maybe there's not one in here. But I'm looking out here and I don't see any people. I just see a fence. I see greenery. I'm happy. That's nice. It's kind of cool and nice and private. That's not normal for all bathrooms in Burlingame. So this lot is, like I said, slightly over 5,000 square feet. So this will give you some context with an attached garage. This home's actually set farther back. So our house is actually on a 5,000 square foot lot and we have an attached garage, and our yard size is probably 3 times as large as this lot size. Obviously the value is a little bit different, but just to give you some context, a smaller yard like this could get you a better price if you're starting out buying your first home in Burlingame. So we have a planter bed, we have a really cool fire pit area, we have a trellis here, which would be, if this was my house, I'd put some potted plants at the bottom, and then I'd have some bougainvillea or some other vines kind of growing up here, adding some color, adding some shade. Keeps getting warmer and warmer. Maybe I'd add like some water that comes up there where it kind of mists down on you. We have a little sitting area. We have a built-in barbecue. This is something that you're usually not gonna see kind of in the low $2 to mid $2 million price points, this type of thing. So we'll see what happens here. And then we also have a cool spot in the backyard where someone could put a sandbox here. They could put a hot tub. There's a lot of possibilities for how this space could be used. I don't really think this is enough space if someone wants to do an ADU, because Burlingame requires a 4-foot setback, I believe, on this side and on that side. So you'd have the structure coming out here, and it'd be so close to the house itself. And you could do an addition perhaps, but I think that there's other homes that would be a better candidate probably for an ADU. Alternatively, if you wanted to put one over there, you could, but I probably wouldn't recommend it. Okay, let's check out the other side of the house here. I want to talk to you a little bit about property lines and boundaries, because this is a hot button issue, not just in Burlingame, wherever you choose to buy. So it's important to understand when you buy that you don't know necessarily where the property boundary line is. The only way that you would know is if a survey was done by the seller because they're doing an addition or new build, and then you get a copy of that into the disclosure package. Otherwise, you just don't know. You could get a survey, but usually they're gonna cost you $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. It could take a month or two to get them done. There's usually not enough time in the purchase process to do that because the market's a little competitive. So I'm not proud to say that, but that's just something that you should be aware of as part of the process, that this fence here, for example, may or may not be on the property line. It could be 6 inches this way. It could be 12 inches that way. So likely this homeowner and that homeowner, assuming they have not done a survey, this has probably been like this since the homes were built, and so the fence failed, and then they put a new fence in, and that's just kind of how it is. So for the couple homes that we own in Burlingame, we have done surveys on them. And as a result of when we did the surveys, we were doing construction. We did adjust, we worked with our neighbors very closely, and we adjusted the fence to where was the proper line. Now I did have one architect tell me, who did our house, he gave me what I thought was sage advice. He said, if you're doing the new fence, always put the fence on your property. Don't put it so it's shared. So if you pay for the fence, put it on your property. This way you don't have a dispute with your neighbor. And I thought that was really good advice. So on our way to Village Park, I just want to point out a couple things here on Burlingame Village. So we're on the corner of Hamilton and Westmore, and there's several blocks here, Clovelly, Hamilton, Killarney, that are actually cul-de-sacs. Now in Burlingame, we have so few cul-de-sacs. I think a lot of people really like cul-de-sacs, as would I, right? You don't get any through traffic. It's nice to walk around. They're safer. Actually, I don't know statistically, but I'm assuming they are. And they're pretty cool. So I just want to kind of show you what that looks like here. Most of the neighborhood in Burlingame Village are one-level ranch-style homes. So if you take a look at Westmore here, there's a few homes that have been really beautifully redone. They added the second story. I can see here, Mills Peninsula Hospital is within my view. Not a big deal. You have El Camino on the other side, so the homes on Westmore, they can hear a little El Camino traffic. The homes at the far end of the cul-de-sac, they can hear a little California Drive traffic. Again, not a big deal, but just something to be aware of if that's important to you. So if you're looking for a move-in ready starter home in Burlingame or any town in the peninsula, give me a call or shoot me an email. All my contact info is in the description below. So we're at Village Park. This is one of my favorite parks in Burlingame. So we have 19 parks, 12 neighborhoods in Burlingame, and we're in the summer. So we just show up here and there's a kickball game happening right behind us, which is pretty fun. Kind of want to play, but you know, that's okay. So we have Village Park Preschool over here. We have all these beautiful redwood trees. This is actually the go-to soccer field. If you have kids and they're under 5 years old, then this is kind of the field in Burlingame where a lot of the little kids play soccer. I had my 3rd birthday party here at Village Park 41 years ago. Not that I'm remembering or counting, but it's a pretty sweet park. The city spent a few years ago $500,000 on renovating the play structure over there. There's a full court basketball hoop. You have beautiful trees. It's one of the most beautiful parks for sure on the peninsula. And then you have, this is Eastmore. And then the street where I just had our last little clip, that was on Westmore, which is 1 block that way. This is kind of Caltrain going by it. You probably can't really hear it too well. That was obviously electrified in the last year, so it wasn't even annoying going by here, right? It was just, oh, I heard something. Oh, okay, cool, that's the train. So anyways, Village Park is pretty sweet. What else is close to Burlingame Village? So one thing actually I probably should have mentioned earlier is that this has an advantage over other neighborhoods that are a little bit more south. So if you work in San Francisco, or you work in South San Francisco on Biotech, or anywhere north of here, you can actually, depending where you are in the neighborhood, you can pretty much walk to the Millbrae, BART, and Caltrain station, or take your bike. If I were to hop on my bike right here, right now, I'd probably be at the Caltrain station in 4 minutes, is my guess. And if I'd walk, maybe 10 minutes. It's not a big deal, it's pretty cool. And then there's all day parking there and nice and convenient. So since we like to talk about real estate numbers in every video, even though we're coming towards the end, I do need to remind you what things cost here. The average price over the last few months in Burlingame has been a little over $3.2 million. The median home price in Burlingame has been around $3 million, which is crazy, but we've seen a lot of appreciation just this year in Burlingame in particular. Average price per square foot this year in Burlingame has been almost $1,500 a square foot at $1,495. We've had about 192 homes that sold over the last 12-month period. Average days on market of 9. These numbers are ridiculous. But in Burlingame Village in particular, the average sales price was $2,538,000 over the last year, with the median sales price of $2,497,000, with a price per square foot putting it at the top of Burlingame at $1,670 a square foot. So what does this all mean for you? If you are a buyer and you're looking to buy a home in Burlingame and your budget is up to $3 million, I would tell you a couple things. First, find out what compromises you might be willing to make and what others you might not make. So I would think about kind of these 4 things: location, condition, floor plan, and size of home, right? And I would say if you're looking under $3 million, maybe you could pick 1 or 2 of those 4. Again, this is all subjective and relative, but I was just trying to set expectations because the home that we just saw, that is a good representation of a really good home that you can get under $3 million in the 2s. What's interesting, we have a lot of 2 bedrooms in Burlingame. We have a lot of 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, very few 5 bedrooms. So over the last year, like I mentioned, we've had about 192 homes that have sold. That is not a lot. So if you look back over the last 15 years, the most number of homes we ever had sell in 1 year was about 250. So 2023 was the fewest number of sales we've had in the last 25 years. 2024 was the second lowest. 2025 was the third lowest. And I think in 2026, unfortunately, if you're a buyer, we're gonna see fewer sales. And then later this year, we're gonna have a lot more liquidity in the market with some of the frontier labs having IPOs. We're gonna continue with this trend I think that we've seen for a while, for what I'm experiencing personally with the people who are buying in the marketplace. And that is just a percentage of the buyer pool. We also have very robust job pools in finance, San Francisco, healthcare. I have many buyers who work at UCSF, Stanford, Sutter Health. There's a lot of big hospital systems and healthcare in the area, of course. Biotech in South San Francisco, Gilead in Foster City. We have a lot of well-paying, strong jobs. So it's not just anchored by big tech and the frontier labs, although that's certainly driving a lot of the RSU growth and income that we've seen recently. We have a really good job base here. And so I think when you look at San Mateo County in particular, not just Burlingame, I remember seeing a statistic a few years ago that said this was maybe 4 or 5 years ago. So it's a little dated, but it's interesting. It was over the previous 5 years, there had been about 70,000 new jobs created in San Mateo County and only 5,000 new housing units. So we have problems here in San Mateo County from a housing perspective. We have more jobs than we can support housing for. People coming from the East Bay driving in to work here. 92 freeway is kind of a mess a lot. People driving up and down 101 corridor, 280. But at the end of the day, if you're fortunate enough to live in these areas, we don't have massive high rises everywhere. We have single family homes and it's beautiful and relaxing and all that, but I don't have answers, but just trying to be honest with you about what we have here. So if you're thinking about making a move within Burlingame, to Burlingame, anywhere within San Mateo County, I'd love to be your Peninsula real estate resource of choice. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about Burlingame Grove neighborhood, which is just immediately south of here, a few hundred feet, check out this video. I look forward to seeing you next Monday at 5 p.m. for a new video.